History is not only written by facts, but also by what people choose to tell. Over time, great legends have been portrayed as perfect symbols, flawless geniuses, indomitable leaders, artists who transcend the boundaries of everyday life. However, behind that glamour lies a dark side rarely mentioned where fame, power, and talent are not enough to protect people from disease. For centuries, syphilis silently ravaged the European elite, destroying the intellect, character, and ultimately the lives of many outstanding figures. Due to intense stigma, the disease was concealed, erased from records, leaving behind mysterious deaths and decline attributed to eccentricity or excessive genius. This video will reveal a forgotten chapter of history when an ancient disease became the silent killer of legends that humanity still celebrates today. Friedrich Nietzsche, 1844. 1900 was one of the most influential philosophers of modern Western thought. Works such as Thus Spoke Zarathustra posed bold questions about ethics, religion, and human nature, making his name transcend his time. However, in contrast to his sharp intellect, Nietzsche's later years were shrouded in darkness. He gradually lost his cognitive abilities, fell into a state of severe mental breakdown, and became completely dependent on his family's care. To this day, the exact cause of this decline remains a subject of debate. Some medical historians suggest that Nietzsche may have suffered from neurosyphilis, a dangerous complication of a disease that was prevalent before the advent of antibiotics. While not definitively concluded, his case is considered a haunting example of how illness can silently destroy even the greatest minds in history. Al Capone, 1899–1947, is often remembered as an icon of American crime during the Prohibition era, a figure synonymous with violence, power, and notoriety. However, what ended Capone's life wasn't gunfire or purges, but the silent decay of his body. After years of untreated syphilis, he developed severe damage to his nervous system. In his final years, Capone suffered a marked decline in cognitive abilities, his thinking and memory abilities severely impaired, to the point where he was described as being on par with a child. Medical records at the time listed this complication as the primary cause of his death, making Capone one of the most prominent and well-documented cases of the consequences of syphilis in the pre-antibiotic era. Franz Schubert, 1797–1828, was one of the musical geniuses of the Romantic era, leaving behind a vast musical legacy in just over 3 short decades. However, behind those lyrical and profound melodies lay a life shrouded in illness. Numerous historical documents, including letters and personal diaries, reveal that Schubert suffered from prolonged pain and physical and mental debilitation from a very young age. Some researchers suggest he may have contracted syphilis, a common but tainted disease in 19th-century European society. Schubert died at the age of 31, at the height of his talent, leaving behind immortal works and the tragic image of a genius whose life was tragically cut short by time and disease. Charles Baudelaire, the French poet born in 1821 and author of The Evil Flowers, was known as a rebellious soul, living amidst his own intense contradictions. His life was marked by debauchery, solitude, and an incessant search for beauty in the shadows. But as his fame grew, Baudelaire's health gradually deteriorated. In his later years, he suffered from hemiplegia. His ability to speak almost completely vanished, forcing him to live in a state of prolonged helplessness. Many historical documents suggest that syphilis, a common but hidden disease in 19th-century society, may have been the main cause of this rapid decline. Baudelaire's fate leaves a haunting feeling. Even the most sensitive and insightful souls could not escape the harsh limitations of the body and the times. Guy de Maupassant, born in 1850, was one of France's most outstanding realist writers. His works, concise, sharp, and rich in detail, profoundly depicted human life and psychology. However, Maupassant's life was overshadowed by a silent illness. Many historical studies suggest he contracted syphilis at a relatively young age. In his later years, his mental health deteriorated severely. Paranoia, hallucinations, and psychosis became an unavoidable part of his daily life. In despair, Maupassant attempted suicide before dying in a psychiatric facility at the age of 42. His case is a tragic example of how illness can silently destroy even the most creative geniuses. Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, born in 1864, was a renowned post-impressionist painter who captured the vibrant and colorful life of late 19th century Paris through his vivid paintings. However, behind these brilliant works lay a frail body and chronic illnesses. Besides congenital bone and joint problems, Toulouse-Lautrec was also believed to have suffered from syphilis and faced severe alcoholism factors that caused his health to deteriorate rapidly. His life ended at a very young age, but the artistic legacy he left behind lives on, a testament to creative resilience, even in the face of physical adversity. Oscar Wilde, born in 1854, was one of Ireland's greatest writers and playwrights, renowned for his wit, satirical humor, and enduring works such as The Picture of Dorian Gray. He died in 1900 from meningitis, but many scholars believe the illness may have been related to complications from syphilis he had contracted previously. The exact cause remains debated, but Wilde's case is often cited when discussing famous victims of the disease, illustrating how a seemingly invisible illness can profoundly affect the lives and creative abilities of literary geniuses. Paul Gauguin, born in 1848, was a French post-impressionist painter, famous for his years living and creating in Tahiti, where he sought light, color, and primal emotions for his works. However, Gauguin's life was not just about the vibrant colors in his paintings. He suffered from prolonged pain and increasingly serious neurological problems. Many historical documents suggest that syphilis was one of the main causes of his declining health before his death in 1903. Gauguin's life is a testament to the resilience of art in the face of adversity, where physical pain could not stop the creative desires of a genius. Ivan IV, also known as Ivan the Terrible, 1530–1584, was the first Tsar of Russia, renowned for his absolute power and harsh decisions in the court. In his later years, his behavior and personality became extreme and erratic, leading many historical accounts to portray him as a contradictory ruler. Some historians have hypothesized that syphilis may have affected Ivan IV's nervous system, contributing to his unpredictable behavior. However, there is no direct medical evidence to definitively confirm this. Ivan IV's case reminds us that even those who wield supreme power are not immune to the effects of illness throughout history. Henry VIII, 1491–1547, was a famous English king, remembered for his 6 wives and erratic temperament, and as a central figure in many political and religious upheavals in English history. For centuries, it has been hypothesized that he suffered from syphilis, a disease that may have contributed to changes in his health and personality. However, this remains a subject of debate in modern history, as there is no direct medical evidence. The case of Henry VIII illustrates how health and illness, though sometimes poorly documented, can leave a profound mark on the lives and decisions of powerful figures in history. Friedrich Engels, 1820 to 1895, was a brilliant philosopher and social theorist, a close associate of Karl Marx, and one of the architects of modern socialism. Although historical records of his health are limited, some accounts suggest Engels suffered from sexually transmitted diseases, possibly syphilis, which affected his health later in life. However, this information is not entirely consistent and remains a subject of academic research and discussion. Engels' case demonstrates that even the most brilliant and influential figures in history are not immune to health challenges, and reminds us of the lesser-known aspects of the lives of these legendary individuals. Stories about Nietzsche, Capone, Schubert, and other legends show us that, behind talent and power, humans are still fragile creatures vulnerable to disease and time. Syphilis, a disease that silently ravaged many geniuses, is proof that history is not only written in glory, but also in its little-known hidden corners. If you find this story interesting and informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other surprising history exploration videos.